Hey guys, Sri Lankan Sammi, retire in Southeast Asia. Welcome to the show today. Back at the computer because it is pouring rain outside. It's like we got a typhoon here. I don't know what's been going on. We actually had 14 degrees Celsius in New Australia 2 days ago. It was freezing cold. We're going to talk today about the cost of visas, tourist visas, specifically tourist visas for me, for the 5 months that I'm going to be staying in Cebu. I've already researched it because there's tons of conflicting information out there. I've already talked to my friends in Cebu about it, and I found out the actual prices. So this is relevant information, 2025, what is going on in Cebu and what are the costs. So join me, why don't you, right after this. Hey, I'm Sri Lankan Sammi. Let's talk about life after 50. Real talk, no BS. How I went from Canada via South Korea to now chasing my forever home in Southeast Asia. Join me for this next chapter. All right, guys, so there is tons of confusion going on about this, all right? So you can Google it, you can search it. I've got it from the horse's mouth and I experienced it the last time I was in Cebu. Sorry for the camera keep going in and out like this. I don't know why it's doing that. Because I got the green screen on, that's why. But hopefully you guys aren't here to see my pretty face. You're here to hear about the things that you have to think about when you go on a long vacation, not a retirement visa. This is a tourist visa. Now, the Philippines is one of the few countries that I know that I have visited in the past. 3 years ago, I spent 5.5 months in the Philippines, and I'm going to probably do 5.5, maybe 6 months this time. First of all, they're the only one of the countries that I've been to that allow up to 2 or 3 years before you have to leave. Now, I'm not going to do that. If I plan on staying anything longer than a year, I'm going to switch to a retirement visa. But here's the plan for this trip. I have calculated it to be exactly 4 months and 29 days. My visa is 5 months. So I made it 1 day shorter than the visa. So I don't have to spend money on a visa, an extra visa just for an extra 4 days, 5 days, is it? But I might, I might change my flight because I have a flight. I'm able to change my flight for free and just add another month on my visa. But for now, I'm doing 5 months. Because if you do more than, okay, so let's take a step back. Under the current rules, you have to do you used to be able to do 3, 4, or 6 months. Now it's only 1 or 2 months. You have to go every 2 months. That's the maximum. Unless you go to Manila and go to the HQ of the Bureau of Immigration and you apply for a special long-term tourist visa, which is 6 months. And that is at the discretion of the Minister of Immigration. So it's not an easy process. It's cheaper than going every 2 months. But here's how the visas work. On arrival, as a Canadian citizen, I'm visa exempt, so I get 30 days free. The first 30 days free, no cost. Then I have to pay for a 29-day extension. Okay, that first extension is about 50 US dollars, approximately. Between 45 and $50 depending. Each office has a different price based on what they default price you. You don't want to argue with them. If they charge you the higher price, you pay it. And that higher price is the express lane fee. Some of them charge a default. I don't want to argue with them. It's a couple of bucks. It's not that big of a deal, right? So now you have 59 days. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more confusing. You must, after 59 days, get what's called an ARC I Card, Alien Registration Card. This also helps you. It helps you get like a bank account, a phone, anything you want, because it registers you with your address and all of that stuff. So they know who you are and who's in the country for a long period of time without like a retirement visa. This is still a tourist visa. So you have to pay, I think it's about $50 for that, on top of your first 2-month extension. The first 2-month extension, okay, is about $100. with the ARC card. Okay, so that'll give you 2 months. And then the final top up of 1 month costs about $75 to $85. So altogether for the 5 months, I'm going to pay $237 US, approximately $240 US dollars. And I'm going to do it myself. Now you can pay an extra fee and have a consultant do it for you. You give your passport and they take care of it. That's what I used to do when I was in Subic Bay 3 years ago. I just let the consultant do it and I didn't have to, because the office was so far away. Here, the office is 5 minutes away. So I'm going to do it myself and I'm going to have the free time to do it. So, and I'm going to have the motorcycle. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to be an adventure for me to go through the process. And more content for you guys, right? So here's the thing though. A lot of people are asking, what can I do to cut my costs? Well, there really is only one way to cut your costs. As of today, it might change tomorrow. Okay, I don't know. This is why I don't do a lot of visa talking, because tomorrow this could be changed and tomorrow the law could change and this video is garbage because it doesn't apply anymore, right? But I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing today, okay, and what I'm going to have to go through. And the problem is that every 2 months you got to go, and every 2 months you got to pay what they tell you to pay, and every 2 months you got to spend about an hour, and then you come back and pick up your thing the next day, or it might be ready right away. It all depends on the office, how busy they are. The issue is that how can you do it cheaper? Well, if you're going to stay on a tourist visa for a long time, like 6 months, the best option is to take a 2-day trip, 3-day trip to Manila. Get an Airbnb or hotel close to the Bureau of Immigration, like right next door if you can. Go in, make your application, and then get your 6 month. And then do that twice if you're planning on staying a year. Including the airfare, it's still probably the same. It's just less headache, right? You cannot apply for the LSSVE, I think it's called. You cannot apply for that. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but you cannot apply for that anywhere except the head office in Manila. Now, people are talking about online renewals. I'm going to test it out. My first one I'm going to do at the office, and I'm going to ask them, can I do it online? I've seen people do it online. I've seen it work. I've seen it not work. There's issues, and you don't want issues. Now, the other thing I'm going to say, if you're going to go do, whether you use a consultant or whether you don't, as soon as, like say for example, I'm going October 2nd, October 13th, which is the day after Lady Sarah leaves, the Monday, I'm going to immigration. So 11 days after I arrive, I'm getting my visa extended. Now they'll extend it after, not the day they receive it, they'll extend it after the end of the last one. You're just filing the paperwork early. And then after I get my first extension, I'm about a week into it. Always give 2 weeks before the end of the extension. 3 weeks if you really want to be careful. I never had problems. It was 7 to 10 days that it took. Now that was in Subic Bay, and the office was in Angeles City. So they had to send it to Angeles City and then bring it back. So I don't know, here in Cebu, the office is 5 minutes away from my house. So it's not that far, even if I use a consultant. So there's that. I'm going to look at the consulting fees and I'm going to post them in a video in the future so that you can make the comparison. It's not that expensive. When you look at it, $237 divided by 5 is about what? $50 a month. That's not, that's $12 a week. That's a coffee and a donut, right? At Starbucks, not at Dunkin' Donuts. So It's not that expensive, but it is an expense, right? You have to factor in that expense. Now, here's where there are some issues that people don't remember. All right, let me take a step back. Also, when you arrive in the country, you must, 72 hours before you arrive, log on to the immigration website. And the website is, just go to the government website. You can Google it. And you must register and log in and register your arrival and your departure. And you will get a QR code that you have to present to immigration. Otherwise, you're going to be delayed because you're going to have to do it at the airport, which will delay you. Especially if everybody is doing it at the same time who arrives on your airplane, right? So do it 72 hours. You cannot do it until 72 hours. So you can't do it like 5 days or a month in advance. You have to do it after the 72-hour mark. So Monday, late afternoon is when I can do mine. Today is Saturday. So yeah, this video will be up on October 4. So I'll already be in Cebu, but I'm recording it now so that I don't have to record videos while I'm on vacation and edit videos because I'm gonna be too busy enjoying time with Lady Sarah. So welcome to Cebu. So now, that's the thing. Now, here is where we're gonna get into a little bit of confusion, and I'm gonna clear this up once I'm in Cebu. Hey guys, Sri Lankan Sammi here. Thank you for watching the video. If you like what you're seeing, please think about subscribing and liking. Also, to help the channel get out in front of other people just like you, if you could, comment. That will help the algorithm get it out there. And hit that bell icon so that you know when the next video is dropping. I truly appreciate that. If you want to sponsor me, scan the QR code right here, or click the link down below, buy me a coconut. Or if you are interested in life coaching, I offer that right here. Scan this QR code or click the link down below. I'm Sri Lankan Sammi, retire in Southeast Asia. We'll see you all on the other side. Departure registration. Now, according to the website, you have to register to depart. What I'm hearing online and what I experienced is you don't have to. Okay, so I'm going to check on that when I depart, right? Now, the other thing, the two things that a lot of people forget and don't realize because it's not advertised, because most people go to Philippines just on vacation for less than 30 days. But if you are there more than 6 months, okay, so the first thing, if you are there and you've extended your visa, you must keep the paperwork. And we're talking, it's not a receipt, it's paperwork. I don't understand why they need to see it, but I was so glad I kept the paperwork. I don't know why I kept it, but I keep everything. I keep my boarding pass, I keep my luggage tickets. Even after I land, until I return home, and 30, 45 days later, everything is settled, right? You need your boarding pass and your luggage ticket to file an insurance claim. I never throw those away, especially not in the airport, because there's scammers that are using those, right? So never ever throw away anything in the airport, and never ever throw anything away relating to your trip until you return home, and then maybe 30, 45 days later. In case there was like a credit card issue or something, you need those documents. So something in my head said, keep these documents, and I just had them in my luggage, in the luggage, you know, one of the little pockets in the luggage. And they asked for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have it here. And I was there for 5 months. I had 3 extensions. So a lot of paper. Okay, like the actual application and the stamp on the application. It's strange because the stamp's in the passport. I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense why they need a piece of paper when it's in the passport and obviously it's in the computer system, but they want that piece of paper. I don't know, right? Doesn't make sense to me, but it's not my country. It's theirs, gotta follow the rules. So I'm glad I had that. That's number one that a lot of people don't realize you need to have. I don't know what would happen if you didn't have it, but they asked for it. And I'll ask, what happens if you don't have it? And they'll probably say, well, we have to like go in and do it, and it's just going to delay you. And that's usually what it is. It's just a delay. It's nothing criminal. Because on the paperwork, it doesn't say you must keep this and present it on exit. It doesn't, because I looked at it. Now, the second thing that people don't realize, if you stay there more than 6 months, you have to get a criminal check to confirm that you're allowed to leave the country. Now, I don't know much about this, and I'm going to find out again when I go. I'm going to talk to my friends who live there, because Tim, he had to get the criminal check. I'm not sure if he's married, but he hasn't got his permanent residence visa yet. He's still on a tourist visa, I think. So he leaves the country once in a while. And he says, yeah, I have to leave before the year because then I have to go through a criminal background check. And he says, excuse me, it's just a pain in the butt, he says. A lot of paperwork to get it done. And I think you have to do it in Manila. I'm not sure. Anyway, those are the costs. Those are the obligations that are for you to do, right? It's not cheap. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of, especially depending on where you are. Now in Cebu, it's not that bad. Bureau of Immigration is not that busy. I've seen videos about it. I've heard it's not that busy. It's not that painful. But these are the things you gotta remember when you're traveling. And a lot of people forget, even on vacation, for 30 days or less, you need to register online. A lot of people don't do that because the airline doesn't tell you that. You don't see it a lot online. And when you register, it's strange because when you get on the plane, before you get on the plane, when you check in, they ask for your visa and they ask for they will ask for that QR code because you have to have it. Because here's the thing, the airlines are responsible for you. And if they let you on the airplane into the country to attempt entrance and you are denied for a violation, the airline is fined. The deportation is on the airline that brought you to the nation. So they're very careful. I remember when I was traveling, either leaving Korea or coming into Korea, the airlines were not used to a 6-month visa. So they were always checking and looking and they're like, you're here for a long time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Canadian. We get 6 months. And I had to physically show them in the passport, the visa. It says 6MTHS that the guy had written because I'm Canadian. They're used to Americans or other countries that are 30 days or 90 days. But 180 days, they don't see that. So they're not used to it. So they have to double and triple check. And then when I'm returning to Sri Lanka, they ask me for my Sri Lankan visa. And I say, I'm a citizen. I'm flying on my Canadian passport. Here's my Sri Lankan passport, but I'm flying on my Canadian passport because it's easier to fly on my Canadian passport. It's a whole big thing. And then they double, triple check that it's legal and that, it's suspicion because why are you flying on 2 passports and blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, it's just hell. So, here's the other thing. Do never tell anybody you have 2 passports, only if they ask it. The airline doesn't need to know. I am flying out on my Canadian passport. I do not need a visa on arrival to land in the Philippines. When I leave the Philippines to return to Sri Lanka, I'm going to present my Canadian passport. And if they ask, I have a visa on arrival. I don't need a visa to show you. I'm Canadian. And if they push it, I say, well, I'm also a Sri Lankan citizen. I don't need a visa. I'm a citizen. I'm a dual citizen. And then when I land in Sri Lanka, I present my Sri Lankan passport. And then they say, do you have your Canadian passport? Because in the system, it shows that I'm dual. And they stamp both passports. When I leave Sri Lanka, I do have to present my Sri Lankan passport because it has my monetary, they stamp it in the back of the passport that I'm authorized to remove from the country a certain amount of money. I'm allowed to take money out, but it's stamped in there and I have to present that because they asked, how much money are you taking out? And I said, X amount of dollars. Here's the stamp and I show the money and they don't count it. They just look, okay, great, thank you. especially since I'm flying Silk Route. They don't really bother with Silk Route. And also because I fly in and out of the country so much, and I've never had a red flag or a black mark against my passport, I would assume that they've marked me as a trusted traveler. I used to have that program in Canada, a trusted traveler, where they vet you and they screen you and they interview you, and you get a special designation saying that you are of a, you've been pre-screened, that you're of no threat, and you travel for legitimate purposes, and there's no reason for any immigration officer to be suspicious of you if you're traveling so much, so often, right? Because they don't know, right? They don't know you from jack crap, right? So lots of stamps in your passport, lots of traveling. At a young age will raise red flags. At an older age, not really. And that was the thing what I've discovered in South Korea, was that I was always worried because in the beginning, I didn't have a visa. I was there on a tourist visa. So every 6 months, every 5 months, I would travel out, every 3 or 4 months. Once in the summer, once in the winter. Winter, obviously, I came to Sri Lanka. Summer, I would go to Japan or China or something. And until I got my visa like 2 or 3 years later. So I was always worried, and I never got asked. Only once when I was leaving the country. And that's strange because in Canada, when I left Canada, you just leave. You don't go through immigration. You don't go through immigration in Canada. Well, did you? I don't really remember. It was 20 years ago, but maybe somebody can correct me. When you leave the country, do you have to get your passport stamped exiting the country? Like it does, I don't think so. I don't remember doing that. I do remember them stopping me on the jet, like in the terminal, asking how much money I had and where I was going, and looking at my passport and saying, yeah, I'm moving to South Korea and I have X amount of dollars on me. And they said, did you, that's under $10,000, I think it was. It was a few thousand. I can't remember, maybe it was 5,000. I can't remember. It was a lot. It was a lot. Because I didn't have a bank account, right? I didn't know how long I would need to get a bank account. So I took a lot of cash with me. In those days, international banking and stuff wasn't as easy as it is today. Anyway, I don't remember going through immigration in Canada, but every other country, you have to, exit the country and speak to someone before you're allowed to leave the country. So I remember leaving Korea once, and the woman asked, "You're here a long time?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just, I'm writing a book. I'm retired, semi-retired, and I'm just traveling around. And I have so many friends here in South Korea that I'm using this as my base to travel around Southeast Asia." And that seems reasonable for someone at that time, someone my age, right? I said, I'm not married. I have no kids. I'm financially independent. I'm just exploring Southeast Asia. I was born in China, so this is like kind of my second home. So I'm just traveling around and exploring the wonderful cultures of this region. I grew up in North America, and now I'm exploring this area. And she said, oh, okay, great. And eventually, I think about 5 or 10 years later, I had a friend who worked in immigration. I asked him, I said, like, why was I never like red flagged or never asked? Because I came in and out like 4 or 5 times, back to back to back. Like I did visa runs, right, to renew my visa. And he says, well, number 1, you're Canadian. Number 2, you're old. And number 3, you probably weren't with kids or family. So, it doesn't raise suspicion, right? You were old. That was the number 1 thing. If you were younger, they would have looked at you like, how are you supporting yourself? How are you surviving? Are you working here illegally? Blah, blah, blah. But you were old. So an older person doesn't raise as many red flags because generally they are financially stable. And he said, were you flying business class? I said, yeah. He says, that's another dead giveaway. If you're flying business class, they're not going to bother you because you're not a threat, right? Because you're spending that kind of money. I said, well, don't the bad people know that? And he says, yeah, probably they do. But Yeah, I'm always flying business class. They look at the ticket because I always present the ticket. I'm pretty sure they know which ticket you're on, but I always present the ticket, the boarding pass in my passport. They look at it and hand it back, but it's always there just in case, you know? Especially flying into Sri Lanka, I fly Silk Route, so I'm escorted through security and escorted through immigration, so they know I'm a VIP. And in Singapore, I'm flying business class and I'm transiting. I'm not going into Singapore. I don't have enough time. And I don't want to. Anyway, I've done Singapore before. So to wrap it up, guys, make sure you double, triple, quadruple check your immigration requirements from the country you're coming from. Make sure there's more than 6 months left in your passport from the day you leave. Not the day you arrive, the day you leave. Make sure there's extra pages in your passport, at least 4. You don't want any reason to give them to cancel your trip. Make sure your passport is in pristine condition, crisp and clear. I'd put it into a cover, just like you put a case on your phone, put a case on your passport, right? Protect your passport. Take your passport, put it in a waterproof bag, put that waterproof bag then in your suitcase. How many times people have washed their passport? Somebody's done that here in Sri Lanka, you know, and he had to go get an emergency passport, right? It ruined the trip because it was 3 days to get that emergent, you know, go process it and get it taken care of. So always put your passport, when you're done with it, in a waterproof bag. You only need it twice while you're traveling, right? Once you land, you don't never need your passport again. Just put it in a waterproof bag and then put it away. That way you'll never accidentally wash it. I don't know how people can, how you cannot protect your documents. I don't understand that. Like, I know it's stressful and, but come on, people. You protect your phone, protect your important documents. It's also important. Take a picture of your passport, okay? Take a picture of your boarding card, take a picture of the serial number of your passport, like the barcode, that's very important. Your boarding pass, your luggage tag, take pictures of that. Take a picture of your luggage as well, okay? All of those things. And then for insurance purposes, take a picture of the boarding sign, like your flight with the boarding time and stuff like that, just for insurance purposes, in case something happens, right? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please click the link down below, join the channel, subscribe, like, hit that bell icon. I'm Sri Lankan Sammi. Remember, learn to live life. Don't let life live you. We're all just good friends who haven't met yet, okay? And please be good to each other in the comments. We'll see you all on the other side.